Welcome to The Current by TreasureCoast.com, where we discuss interesting people, places, and happenings on Florida's Treasure Coast.
Keep that here.
Yeah, just here.
Awesome. Well, Carol, thanks so much for being on. It really is. It's a pleasure to be able to talk with you and to be able to hear more about the United Way locally. As we had mentioned, so many people are familiar with the brand, and so I would love to hear. Maybe if you want to give an introduction to who you are, what the United Way does locally, and what some of the problems are facing Martin County residents that you all are tending to.
Sure. So, United Way has been my only career. It's so sad when I say that. But I started in 1987. Yes, I'm only 12 when I started. But I started up in close to Niagara Falls, New York. And it was supposed to be a 2-year gig. And then I fell in love with the work, right? And so to me, um, falling in love with what you do is a really good thing. And I've been here in Martin County for almost 10 years now. It's hard when I say that because I'm like, 10 years, that's a whole decade. But
That's my
the last,
quick.
yeah, it's like, holy cow, some people haven't even worked somewhere for 10 years and I'm here 10 years. Um, and so in a community, a strong local, healthy United Way is so important because there's so much that United Way does behind the scenes that people don't have any idea about. And the thing that always amazes me, like you just mentioned, everybody knows the brand, they know the logo, right? They know all of those things. But if you ask the common person, what does United Way do? The response I always get is, you do good things. Well, what does that mean? Right. And so until you start peeling away at the onion layer by layer, you can't really know what a local United Way does in a community. Yes, we raise money. I mean, when people see me coming, they're like, she wants something. And, to be honest, that's true. And I don't hide that. And I take no really well because usually no means no right now until you get the opportunity to learn what we're doing. Um, I never take things personally when it comes to that. But so, yes, we raise money. We invest in local programs. So, here locally, we're investing in 44 different programs. And you'd think 44, yeah, 44 different programs. That means we have partnerships with 24 partner agencies that provide those programs. And they're household names that everybody knows. They know the work they do, but they don't know how they're funded. And we are a piece of that funding. Um, that's part of the work we do. So we raise money, we spend money, but we also work on initiatives in our community. Um, the most recent I can talk about because it's been cold here in Florida, and I want to know why. Because this former Western New York girl, my blood has thinned out.
Right,
So
exactly.
it is horrible. People go, but you're from it. I'm like, I know, but 10 years here, it's thinned out. But cold weather shelters, we have a really great partnership with the Martin County Board of County Commissioners and their Emergency Operations Center. And when there's cold weather shelters, United Way's role is to pull all the partners together to make sure that we have a place to open a cold weather shelter, make sure that we have coverage for either volunteers and or security at the cold weather shelter. We make sure that there's food provided, transportation provided, all of those little things that we all don't think about because we go home and to our warm houses and, get to crawl in a great bed or whatever. But, we have people in our community that are living in the woods, living in their cars. And this little streak that we've had, Saturday, Sunday, Monday night, we had cold weather shelters open, and we're going to probably have to do it again. The criteria is 40 degrees or below with a wind chill for 4 hours. So think about how cold, like this morning when I got up, it was 30, 35, I think. And with the wind
Right.
chill, it was some degrees. I'm like, so imagine if you were sleeping outside with, nothing around you. And it just breaks my heart. We had 31 individuals in our community Saturday night, 35 on Sunday night. I didn't get the report from last night how many people were there, but they'd have nowhere to be out of the cold. And so this is something that happens. You hear, the emergency operations team at the county, they publish where the shelter is, but all the partners come together behind the scenes to make it happen, right? And so that's just one thing that we help with. We help with disasters. Again, the partnership with the Emergency Operations Center, we help coordinate donations, volunteers, other partners together to work on, hey, if there is a natural disaster, what happens in our community? And, like we're currently working still, believe it or not, on Hurricane Milton, which really was the tornadoes that, really devastated some
Yeah.
households. There are still people in Martin County that are not in their homes. They're either paying a mortgage and paying rent at the same time. The money that they've received for repairs for their homes or to replace their home isn't enough to fulfill it. And we've been working with them and partners in our community to see if we can help. Now, sometimes the gap is so large that there's not a lot we can do, which again, it breaks our heart, but there's some restrictions for all of us. But that's another thing that we work on. In addition, we started a program called Ride United. And this one I'm really proud of because September of 2022, we launched the program. And if you know anything about Martin County, public transportation isn't the easiest to navigate in our community. And I'm not downplaying anybody. I'm just saying that's just a reality that we have. And we have a lot of seniors in our community that have had to give up their cars due to gas prices, insurance prices, or just their age, and it's not safe for them to be driving. They really were struggling to get to critical appointments. So that means their doctor's appointments. That means, if they had to go to get groceries, if they just had to do certain things that you need for everyday living, they were struggling or paying out of pocket or asking a friend. And we started this program called Ride United. It's a partnership with Lyft. We have a portal that we're able to actually schedule rides for community members. We work with, again, partner agencies that do the same. They schedule it for their clients. And last year alone, we spent almost $83,000 to help people in our community, 755 unduplicated clients, over almost, I think it was almost 6,000 rides that we provided.
Wow.
And you may say to yourself, yeah, it's a lot, right? And you
Yeah.
may say to yourself, well, tell me about that. Well, it's clients that are veterans that have to go to West Palm Beach to the VA hospital that are in their late 80s, early 90s, can't drive anymore. They can't find a friend that would drive them, that have to go there. It is a client that, this broke my heart, had brain cancer and had exhausted all of the rides through the insurance company that he had to go. He had to go every day for 6 weeks for chemotherapy or radiation, I'm not sure which, that we were able to provide that because guess what? He had no family here. And so every day that he called for the ride, we're happy that he was still here with us. I don't know the outcome of what happened, if he's still here with us, not with us, but imagine being able to do that for somebody and it's a phone call away from getting that assistance. This program is not to go to church. It's not to go to movies. It is really for critical services. And it's been a game changer in Martin. And we've been able to fundraise for that. I mean, we have corporate partners and, other funders that have said, Martin County needs this because it used to be in the top 5 unmet needs when we started in 2022. Guess where it is today? Guess, Josh. Guess where that need falls.
I would say it's probably, I would say there's what, a 80% improvement probably?
According to me, which, that's all that matters. No, I'm kidding. It no longer shows up in the top 15 unmet needs in our community. In 3 short years, the only thing that has changed is that we launched this program, and the only transportation barriers that pop up now in the unmet needs is car repairs or gas money, which this is not going to do for you, right?
Sure.
This is going to get you, if you get a new job and you don't have transportation, it will help you until you can save enough to get a car or, whatever that is. We even have young people. We had a 19-year-old that was walking which bridge is that? The old Palm City Bridge. She was walking from her place of employment back to Palm City at 10 o'clock at night by herself because she wanted the job and she was saving. And the nights that it's raining and pouring out, she doesn't want to walk. I mean, that's horrible. Or the nights she didn't feel safe, she would call, and of course we can help her. Again, didn't overuse the program, but used it when she needed it. And that's the one thing about United Way and the programs that we fund. We really are about giving a hand up, not a hand out. Like, we want to make sure that you're safe, that you're working towards your goals of being able to provide for yourself, but we don't want to just give you everything and so that you're not working or you're not trying to reach your next goal, right? And it makes it difficult with the transportation piece because, we've got a lot of seniors, and that has changed the whole scope of the program. But it's been exciting to watch and see it grow. This year, I hate to even say this publicly, but this year we're on track to be spending about $120,000, which again has all been fundraised for. Like, we have the dollars. That's how much other funders, other corporations, Cleveland Clinic being a major funder, the Community Foundation of Palm Beach and Martin, the Community Foundation of Martin St. Lucie. Those are three of the top funders. Wilmington Trust. I mean, we've got some key partners that have said, you're fixing something in our community that was broken. And a simple way to do it, a partnership with Lyft. They give us the best prices. And here's the kicker that I love about the program the most. The Lyft driver has no idea that the client that they're picking up is in need. They just get
Wow.
here's someone to pick up. They pick up the thing. And the only reason I know is I tried the program. I was like, I'm going to see what
That's
happens,
awesome.
right? So I had to go pick up my daughter's car or drop it off or whatever it was. I had to drop off her car, and I said, I need a ride there. So I go to get the ride there. And when I drop her car off to her, and then I needed a ride back to the office. So I got another ride, and the Lyft driver is like, oh, so are you from around here? And I'm like, oh yeah, I'm just getting a ride back to work. He had no idea that, he just sees it as another fare to them. They don't care, right? But how cool is that about the dignity for that client that doesn't have a car or needs the transportation or is whatever? How cool is that? And
Yeah.
that makes me happy.
I agree. I think that's an interesting point where they're not going to be looked at any differently. And I think that that's
Yeah.
very interesting, to your point of increasing the expenditure. I can see how, if there's programs that, like you had mentioned, are clearly having an impact on things going on locally, it incentivizes people and almost reinforces people who have donated or fundraised or helped in one way or another to continue that, or to expand on that, because they see, sometimes you put efforts or money towards something, you don't always see the fruits of that labor. And so I think to see the
Hmm.
benefit, it probably helps them to want to continue.
Yeah, and the thing is that it is so cool. This will make you laugh. I'm actually presenting along with one of my staff members at a Southeast Regional Conference for United Ways on how to start a Ride United program, because we have been so successful with a little grant that we had wrote in 2022. It started with a $6,000 grant from our national organization, and it's blossomed into what it is today. And
Wow.
the people that we have touched, the people who have been grateful, again, it's pretty cool to be a part of a solution, because not all the time, listen, we're always going to have hungry people in a community. We're always going to have, certain basic needs. We're always going to have that, and that's going to be constant. But we've actually been able to find a solution, and it's working so well that it just makes me proud to be part of something so cool. And again, the dignity part's really big for me. We don't exploit the people that ride the rides. We talk about, like, I didn't tell you the names of the people, right? I just told you about their situation, because to me that's also important. One of the things that we do is really worry about the client's dignity. We don't want to exploit clients. We want to make sure that we tell stories so people understand what's going on in their community. And that's important to me. Because listen, we live in beautiful Florida. We live in beautiful Martin County. And I remember when they brought me down for my interview, I was being driven around Martin County, and I'm looking around going, man, this has got to be paradise. You don't see, You don't see the need because the sunshine and the palm trees really hide a lot of that, in my
Yeah.
opinion. You know what I mean? It's like you don't see that. The gentleman that took me around, he took me to, at the time, Walmart, across the street from Walmart, still had all the blue tarps and all that stuff where the homeless camps were there. But if I wasn't shown that, I would have never seen it, right? Because you just don't look for that.
Right. Right.
Um, so the beauty here hides a lot. Let me just say that. And so I'm just grateful that we can be a part of keeping us healthy, strong, and all of the things that you want in a community, especially if you're moving here. We work with the school districts. We work with so many different partners on things that are important for our community.
You, I think that's a really good point, and that maybe that's a good segue to another question I had. I mean, because United Way, you guys have worked with or tell me if I'm phrasing this wrong, but you have provided grants or helped provide funding to so many local organizations, um, Salvation Army or ARC or Council on Aging, I believe, and there's different
Yeah.
organizations that I've seen you all help financially, and
Yeah.
I'm interested to hear, how do you all determine which programs to invest in, who to partner with? I mean, it cannot be easy. You probably get so many applications. And of course, there are so many things, even in a beautiful place like this, there are so many different segments of the community that could use help. And as you say, maybe a hand up rather than a hand out. How do you establish who you're going to assist, what grants get approved, if grant is the right word, and how these partnerships move forward?
It is the right word. So the funny part is, I tell people you can be my best bud, but I have no control over that piece, which is kind of
Right.
good. I get to lead, along with one of my staff members, a group of about 40 volunteers that review grant applications, that review them for their financial stability, for the impact that the program's having in the community, their outcomes, all of these really cool things. And the volunteers get to decide, is the program worth United Way funding? Because United Way is like the good housekeeping seal of approval. If you see that United Way in any community funds a program, they've gone through
Yeah.
a huge background check. I mean, that's good for you as a donor to say, hey, that's a good thing.
Right.
So the
Right.
volunteers do that, and then the board decides if they approve the process that we go through. And we're actually almost kicking it off right now. We just got 12 new grant applications. They're called letters of intent, that are asking to be put and be a part of this year's process, along with all the other ones we funded in the past. So, to your point, there's only so much money to go around. We have to evaluate everything. We also have to look at things and say, hey, if XYZ agency is doing it and they have great outcomes, and then this agency, a different organization, comes up and wants to create a program like that's very similar, we oftentimes will talk to them and say, why don't you partner? Why are you recreating the wheel? Like, to me, and people hate Josh when I say this, and I'm probably going to get in trouble again, but there's too many nonprofits in Martin County. It's a small community, 162 to 165,000 residents, of which not everyone needs assistance. And if you look at the dollars that are invested in nonprofits and in our community, whether it's federal dollars in the nonprofits arena and all the different programs that we offer, it's a lot of money.
Yeah.
Um, and I always say, like when these startups, they'll come to us and I'm like, yeah, we do have criteria. You have to be in existence for 2 years. You have to have outcome measurements. There's a lot there. And, we get a lot of people that get upset with us. Like, why? We're a new program. We want to start. It's like, well, are you needed? That's the question I always ask. Or
Right.
can you partner with somebody until you can get those outcomes? So it's hard, and grateful that I can blame it on the volunteers.
That's a really, I think that's a really good point. Sometimes I've thought of that where there's a lot of maybe overlap, or maybe there's a lot of, I think that's a really interesting structure where the volunteers get to, and then the board approves, and it's not just, it probably is a good position to be in where you're not, you
Yeah.
don't have the gavel in front of you, like approved, disapproved, where there's a lot of really weight on your shoulders more than anything. But then you get to kind of see what organizations really need it. Do other people see the benefit here? And it seems, I mean, at least from looking at the organizations that United Way has worked with, obviously they've done a pretty good job. Most of those are really popular local organizations that seemingly do a really good job here locally. And I think you're right. If the United Way is associated with it, it is like a stamp where it's like, hey, the United Way has provided a grant to this organization. That says something.
It says a lot. And I just went and toured one of our former partners, and they mentioned that, United Way was instrumental in getting them started, but I forget how he put it, but he said, they've become self-sustainable, that they don't need United Way funding. And they recognize that there's a lot of organizations out there that do. And so that's the success story that you always want, right? But that doesn't happen a lot because, for your basic need organizations, it's hard. You've got a lot of competition on feeding sites and, food pantries, all of that stuff. And so we do limit how many we invest in, and we count on the ones that we do to have the broader picture and to serve the other smaller ones, if that makes sense. Because I think that's important too. We all can't be experts in our own little micro, our own little castle. We got to share knowledge and share our resources.
Yeah, I think that's a really good point too, where you're helping them, and then who knows, those organizations that you then benefit, they get their feet under them, they become self-sustaining, and then they're looking for other people that they can help. I think that's a really interesting point. I'm interested to hear what your thoughts are as far as maybe what the most underutilized or overutilized programs are here in the area. I know you had mentioned, well, hey, look, there might be some overlap in some nonprofits. There might be less in others. I'm interested to hear your thoughts on that.
So I think there's a lot of programs that are underutilized, right? But there's also some that are very much so. If you go to the Council on Aging, their programs are busting at the seams. You walk into their facility, they have, programs that, for people, a working person, if they have a parent that lives with them that needs daycare, they have adult daycare now, but they also have social programs and exercise programs and all kinds of things for seniors to do. They provide Meals on Wheels. They have volunteer opportunities available for community members to be that person that delivers Meals on Wheels. And I got to tell you, if you've never had the opportunity, our staff used to take in the summer, because a lot of snowbirds are volunteers while they're here, but in the summer, right. They're low on volunteers. So our staff took a route. And I got to tell you, it was one of the most rewarding things that we did for team building. To meet the people that sometimes their only interaction with another human is the person that brings their meal. And they can't wait for you. They cannot wait for you to see you, and so I loved that. So that's an organization that gets used a lot, but also I think the Meals on Wheels program, there's probably room for growth there. In addition, the senior navigator, we have a lot of seniors in our community. They don't know where to reach out for help, or by the time they do reach out, they're at crisis mode. So depending on the organization and which program you're talking about, I know the senior navigators at Council on Aging, they get the crisis calls instead of getting it when you think you're in trouble. And you know what? Let me say this. It is never a bad thing to have to reach out for help. I will say that to anybody, anytime. And whether that's, you're a senior struggling, you're an adult, a child, whatever, struggling with mental health issues or concerns that you need someone to talk to, it is never a bad thing to reach out for help. That would be my one thing that I would tell anybody. I've had friends call me and say, do you think this is weird and I'm like, no, not at all. Go reach out for the help because it is there. And, I don't know, Josh, if Jess had told you, I know you talked a lot with Jess, if she told you we do the Students United program. And I was talking to the students, they are high school students that we're really trying to engage in the community and teach them about philanthropy, teach them about what's in their community that they're not even paying attention to, right? Because when you're in high school, you have no idea. You're not paying attention to people needing food or,
Sure.
all the things that we do. We were talking about people panhandling on the streets. Not that you see a lot in Martin County, but there are times that you will see people panhandling on the streets. And I always tell them, do not give people money. Do not do it. And they were like, why? They have the signs or whatever. And I'm like, because you know what I have seen? Somebody that was panhandling at our corner, okay? And I've seen them walk by because I can, if I have my blinds open, counting their money, walking towards, yeah, and it's a roll of money, and you don't know
Wow.
what with that, right? You don't know if they're going to the closest liquor store. I mean, I hope they're doing the right thing, but there are so many programs out there for individuals that need help that giving money is not the way to do it to an individual. Giving it to an organization that can help that individual grow and get to the next level is really the best way to help somebody. You may relieve your guilt as you pass by saying, oh, I'll throw them a five. I get it. I feel the same. My kids used to say, Mom, you got to help them. And I'm like, there are too many agencies in our community, whether it's here or where I used to live, that can help them. They need to go there first. And then let's see how many people are actually out there doing that. So sorry, that's just my
Yeah.
PSA to everybody.
No, I appreciate that thought because that puts it into perspective when you're somebody who works with these organizations that help people in these situations. And I know, like, I've been to different countries where they'll have signs out, or they'll specifically tell you, hey, look, do not, if someone's coming up, make sure you don't do this. There's other resources for them if they need the help. And I also think, to your point on getting help for people, whether they're on the street, whether they are having mental or health issues, or it's a senior citizen, sometimes there are so many misconceptions about somebody who just needs help. And maybe for senior citizens, unfortunately, they don't really realize, or maybe they don't have that, until it gets to be, as you said, crisis mode, where they finally reach out. And so I think that helps to address maybe some of the misconceptions or some of the ways people usually think about it. Um, you know, if you need help, there are so many resources for you to use that you can go get it and then get your feet on you, and then you know you
And
don't
then
need
and
the
get on with your life.
right.
Yeah, because a lot of times people are too proud. And like again, we had a client call last Friday. Their phone was being shut off, their water bill was being shut off, their electric was being shut off, all within 2 days. You can't call us then. I mean, you
Yeah,
can,
yeah,
and
right.
sometimes we can work with a partner that can do things quickly. But it was a Friday afternoon too, or maybe a Friday morning. So maybe we were able to help. But my message to people, if you feel like, things are tight, you need a little help, don't be afraid to reach out. And whether that's, as simple as going to a food pantry and getting groceries one week instead of spending that money, saving it so that you can get back on your feet. It's simple little things. Nobody's going to look any differently at you. I've been blessed, and I always think I didn't grow up this way. I grew up with immigrant parents who were, we were poor. I didn't realize it until I was an adult and realized how expensive things were. But I grew up, we were poor. And I look back on my life. My parents were able to provide for us, but there were times, we didn't have the extras. I didn't realize it. But today, as a parent, what my kids are a little spoiled. But I've still tried to instill in them, they've got to be grateful for what you have,
Yeah,
and
amen.
there's going
Yeah.
to be people that have more than us, and there's going to be people that have less, and that's okay. You just have to keep working hard to make sure that you're making an impact and that your life and your community matters. So,
That's great,
yeah.
Carol. And I appreciate that thought, and I appreciate you joining. And before we wrap up, I just would, if you want to maybe give people an idea of where they can learn more about United Way, how they can support, whether that's writing a check or beyond writing a check. and hopefully people can look at this and keep it top of mind when they're looking at giving back to the community.
So I'll tell you this, my little secret is this, you can help any one single organization and that's great, but that's going to be one cause, right? But when you help United Way, it's like a mutual fund. It's an investment of your resources to help lots of different things. So you're there if there's a child born with disabilities, you're there if there's domestic violence, you're there if a child, all kinds of things, you are there. So to me, it's a better way to give. And everything that's been is supported is being vetted. The other piece is if you want to learn more, we are just getting ready to open up our citizens review process. The best way to learn about why give to United Way, why support United Way, is be a part of that process. We get 40 volunteers from the community, and it can be more, but usually it averages around 40 that go. It really takes about, I'm going to say 8 to 12 hours of your time, of which a lot of that's done online, at home. It takes half a day of your time. You get assigned programs, you review them with others. We go as a group. You have us as staff to help you through the process to understand, because it gets emotional, right? And if you've never done it, people make emotional decisions. They want to give everything to everyone. And I have to be that Debbie Downer that says, oh, no, let's talk about this, or let's look at this. And it's a good job to have too sometimes. But so that process is starting soon. How you keep in touch or what we're doing, social channels, of course, we do all of the social channels, but go to our website, unitedwaymartin.org. You can find out so much about what we do, the volunteer opportunities that we provide to the community, the different things we're involved in. And you'd be surprised. It's way more than people think. They just think we ask for money and that's all we do. I wish that was all we did. That's a part of my job, but right. I feel like all the rest is so much more important, because that allows us a better way to ask for the money if they see that we're engaged in making a difference in our community.
That's great, Carol. Well, thank you again for being on and for talking with me and talking a little bit more about United Way and what you guys are doing here locally. And look, hopefully we can get together sometime and anything that we can do to help push any events or fundraising initiatives, please let me know. We'd be happy to be of support.
That'd be amazing. And I'm sure that we will keep pushing out information to you. One last thing, can I tell you something really exciting we're doing right now?
Yeah, please.
So we have a foundation too. Okay. And our foundation is just going to start spending a little bit of the earnings that we've generated. And our first really major one that's going to be pushed out in the next week or so is we are doing a challenge grant for Council on Aging. They're fundraising for a new Meals on Wheels vehicle. They're replacing a 17-year-old vehicle that they need to replace, right? But they're trying to raise about $90,000 to do it. And so the foundation has said, we'll match up to $45,000. So that means they only have to raise $45,000. How cool is that? Because there's a lot of times that, agencies need a smaller grant amount for some capital improvement. And that's what we're going to start doing. So I'm so excited about that. And that'll be coming soon.
That's awesome to hear. Thanks for sharing that, Carol. And
of course,
please keep us in mind at anything that we can help push out. We're always happy to support. Great. And it was awesome to talk with you.
Thank you, Josh. Great talking to you too.
For this episode
Thank you. Talk to you soon.
treasurecoast.com. If you enjoyed the conversation, be sure to subscribe so you never miss an episode. You can find us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and YouTube. Follow us on social media or visit treasurecoast.com for local events, tips, and news. Have a guest or topic you'd love to hear on the show? Let us know at treasurecoast.com. Until next time, keep riding the current and enjoying everything the Treasure Coast has to offer. See you soon.